Alright, so I've cleaned out the guitar here of its prior electronics. As you can see, the cavity is empty. Just some wires that connect in with the jack, and then of course my ground wire, very important. Battery cavity, no longer going to be used. I still have the wire and stuff in there for it though. I might go back to that one day. Anyway, so yeah, we're all cleaned out. Bridge, tremolo stuff there. Old pickups are out. There's the bridge pickup. Whoop, don't know if I can get the camera right. You know, you're just looking at an empty hole there between these two. But yeah, all cleaned out, ready to go. So, move that out of the way. Old circuitry here. The switch, of course, we'll keep. And then some old alpha pots. Old volume and tone. And then now we have some new CTS pots, which I'm using this Gibson SG template for. Because those holes actually fit perfectly across the way anyway, one tone and one volume anyway, the neck and the bridge. And then here are the old Seymour Duncans, active blackouts. Took those out. That's one of them. Here's the other. Whoop. Seymour Duncan. I don't know if you can read the name there. So, I believe that one had a B on it. Yeah, that was the bridge. This first one that I showed you was the neck. Can't tell much difference, honestly. I don't remember too much difference in the sound, but I do remember that they were pretty extreme. But now we're replacing them with the Nazgul and Sentient combination. Nazgul neck, Sentient bridge. After reading the back here, I'm very interested on how these things are going to sound. So, ought to be pretty cool. Anyway, we're going active to passive. So I've also cleaned off the frets here. Got some fret rubber, some erasers basically, and some guards from StewMac. Great place to get guitar parts. Wood for custom builds, just about anything guitar really. Electronics, strings, all kinds of stuff. Great place. So for the Gibson SG and for this guitar, that's where I've gotten the pots and the caps and all that good stuff. Some jacks, knobs, things like that. These tuners though, these locking tuners I got from Sweetwater. It was real nice. The Graphtec ratio locking tuners, so those went on great. So now we're going to do the wiring up process for everything. So stay tuned. Alright, so now you got the new pickups in. Got a Nazgul Sentient, tone and volume put back on, CTS pots, just like the Gibson SG. You got the little knob pointers put on there, and then of course got our switch back in, 3-way blade. And so now, just like the SG, we're going to try these right here, Paradigm 11 through 54, beefy slinky. So let's check it out. We got brand new tuners put on. fit on there great. So there's a Gear Gods video that I was watching, I believe it was Gear Gods, that talked about how to actually put these things on here when you have locking tuners. So apparently you do not want to put any windings around because you're kind of defeating the purpose at that point. The string tends to gain up some slack with that, and it kind of pulls out over time, and you can slowly go out of tune. With these, you just pull them straight through, and then you know, get them as tight as you can by hand. Obviously, I'm not going to jerk on them, but just get them real tight, and then screw the bottom piece down here, the bottom screw, till that rod pushes up on it and gets good solid tension, and then just a few turns, get it in tune, and we're ready to go. So of course, Ernie ball end, I'm going to cut that guy off because I've got tension screws down here as well on these bridges. So get that cut off. The first to go on is our number 54. Make sure we're getting him down in there nice and tight, nice and snug. These things always scared me because I didn't know if you know, if it'll ever pop out or not, but you know, I've had it for a while. My Ibanez S guitar is pretty much the same way, so just need to blow this out, make sure it's not all the excess junk out here. As you can see, I haven't put the back plate back on yet. There's the inside cavity, the new wiring, CTS pots. So we'll get the strings on, get it tested out, and then we'll go from there. Just make sure everything's blown out real well. Make sure there's not any extra mess I may have left in there. Alright, so now we'll unscrew from underneath here, if it'll let us. There we go. Get this thing back around to where it belongs. Slide it on through. Alright, get it tight. Squeeze down real good with our locking tuner there, and then we'll kind of tune this bad boy up some. Bend that up. Leave it like that for now. Just gonna have to gradually bring this bridge up, and we're gonna have to make some adjustments on that as well. Get the intonation back in. This is a different set of strings than what was normally on this, so definitely have to change the intonation. And change the action, is really what I meant to say, but both of them will have to be adjusted at this point. Oh, if I can get it to slide in. One thing I did find on these is that they tend to want to stick a little bit, those rods up in there, but it's no big deal to get them to straighten back out, really. hoping after it's all said and done I will have found a newfound love for this guitar. It's been a great guitar, honestly. It's really cool. But obviously I wanted to upgrade it for a reason, so. Main reason I wanted to upgrade it is really I don't care for the hassle of active pickups. The only thing that I have that's active now would be my bass, but it's not too big of a deal on that one. I don't play it as often as I should, but I will certainly get there. Certainly have bass to track. You can definitely feel in the tuners here that the tension is certainly the same for each one. For each string, the takes about the same amount of time to get it wound up, pretty much. Alright, so all the strings are on there. Still need to tune up quite a bit more. But before we put the locking nut back on and before we really dig into what this thing can do and what all it sounds like, we need to check our electronics, of course, and then get this thing tuned up real good and get the action set, all the stuff with the bridge, get it kind of back up level there, get action and intonation, of course, and then just go from there. And of course I like to play on it a good bit before I really fasten anything down and just make sure that it's going to hold stable. So wish me luck, and see you guys momentarily. We have the RG here. Everything's put back together on it. We've got a Nazgul Sentient pickups in there from Seymour Duncan. Push-pull, volume, tone, still three-way switch. Got everything put back on the back here. Battery compartment still there, but we're not dealing with active pickups, so it's all there. And I put new tuners on, of course. So there they are. We've spoken about those, talked about them. Those are the Graphtec ratio tuners. Pretty sweet. They seem to be holding up okay. And I did say that I was going to put beefy slinkies on here, which I believe are 11 through 54 gauge. I did try that, and I wasn't that happy with it. So, you know, I traded them out for the regular heavy bottom slinky top, or skinny top heavy bottom for Ernie Ball. That's what I use on my other guitar, my other Ibanez S guitar. Just getting the bridge set right and just the feel of the strings. It had a great sound. It was nice and thick and really good tone, but you know, playability wise, it was not a good choice. So I went with what I know anyway. These strings have been great, honestly. This particular gauge is a 10 through 52, and real nice. So still in the process of setting it up, kind of, you know, getting it tuned right and action, getting it feeling like it's in good shape, and seeing how well these tuners hold up. They seem to be doing an okay job. I don't think it's necessarily the tuner's fault, because I still have some issues here with the bridge as far as getting it leveled out, you know, for whammy use. but I don't necessarily plan to use the whammy so much on this one. I don't really know right now. We'll just see when it gets heavier into recording. I really intend for this to be more of a rhythm guitar, and my S will be more the lead. But man, with these pickups in here, this it makes a big difference. This thing can go all over the place. It has a lot of capability, in my opinion. It's got some really interesting sounds that you can get out of it. We got a coil tap here on the volume, and then in the middle position, that's where the tone comes in real well. In and out of phase with the pickup that it's with here, not with itself, but with our rhythm pickup here, the Nazgul. So phase switching on Sentient, so in the middle position when they're using both pickups together, this guy makes a big difference in tone. It gets a real mid-rangey, kind of almost like a half-cocked wah kind of sound. So really interesting, and I'm sure with the right effects, right amplifier settings, just whatever's in the signal chain, a little bit of tweaking that can really play to an advantage. Really cuts very nicely. Very warm pickup here. The Nazgul, very fat sounding, and then really articulate. Both of them are really articulate, but especially the Sentient here, very articulate. Handles high gain very well, better than any of my other pickups. You can definitely tell, like it bites, it crunches, and and it's tight, real tight. I was very surprised. When you're first starting out on the guitar, you don't really know how much your strings and how much your pickups and everything else that, just on the guitar itself, how much that really contributes to sound until you start swapping things out and you start trying different stuff. And from stuff I've done in the past to SG and to now this RG mod here, I'm really surprised, and I'm actually really happy with this one. And it honestly didn't give me as much trouble as the SG did, but yeah, it is what it is. So stay tuned, and we'll hear how it sounds. We'll plug it in, we'll start jamming out, and get some other content flowing. So be looking out for this in some future videos for sure.